some stuff in the slide deck here that isn't in the ebook. One of the things that I think we've already touched on is that these tools don't really give you the same information. So here's a query I did earlier this year on Social Media Week New York. It was also happening here at the same time. And again, that post got retweeted a lot, actually. And like, the names of my followers came up with as flaky. It was called, one of my followers said, flaky sentiment analysis. You know, like, this is really flaky. So I put in the same exact query in 5 tools that at that time I had access to. I think I have access to all of them now. Still, Radiant 6. And the query was basically Social Media Week, New York City, or pound SY, you know, Social Media Week, the hashtag. And Radiant 6 shot out, I think, you know, that most of it was neutral, and then there was some of it that was negative. Brandwatch, gals here, had 1 positive, 146 neutral, 2 negative. Sysmos didn't give me the number, but it said 76% positive, 23 neutral. So they put the positive and the neutral together. Techinergy, I used the brand one and said it came up, I think, with like 90% positive, 10 negative. And Biz360i had mostly neutral, but you know, again, they didn't really agree. Some positive, I don't get the exact numbers here. And the numbers of the posts that they were picking up were different. And the categorization of how many were microblogs versus wasn't the same. And in some cases, the content was different. So, you know, like looking at this with the same exact query in the same exact time period, like I kind of figured, okay, I don't know their watch list. I don't know what Giles includes and this doesn't include it, what Techinergy does and doesn't include. But I could see from a data analytics point of view a real problem here. In that, why would I want to trust any of them? Because I put the exact same query in the exact same time frame, and I took 5 tools and I got 5 totally different answers. So, and I write about that in pages 78 to 84 of the book. And that was a long post. And some of them are getting better though. Like at the time I did this, Radiant 6 had just come out with a sentiment analysis on keywords, which is basically a single keyword phrase. You can put in the keyword and then it'll try to do a positive, negative, neutral. And I don't really find that particularly useful myself. But following Luke's suggestion, what would be the positive there is if I chose the word really carefully, maybe it would be, depending on. I mean, if I was careful about the words I chose to manage sentiment around, it's possible that maybe I would get something useful out of that tool. But I've never found the single word, phrase type work useful. I don't see how they give me any insight. I don't see what you can actually learn from them. I don't know if you look at the actual posts that are flagged negative and positive, 99% of the time they won't be what they're flagged to be. And a lot of the neutral stuff will be positive or negative, and a lot of the negative stuff will be positive, and some of the positive stuff will be negative. So I don't really see this as being very valuable most of the time. There's no human intervention, and it's a self-serve model. But a lot of the vendors here, some of them are self-serve, and some of them are like the Synthesio and the Brandology, and they're going to look at this stuff. Prime Labs, Prime Research also. They're going to look at this stuff, and they're not going to let just this be there. They're going to actually say, this is non-negative, this is positive. And you're going to pay for that, but you're going to actually see stuff that really is negative and positive rather than this, which, again, I don't really find very useful. But if you're going to use this, at least pick the right words. And I think that really is more of a skill. Like if your query is about something, you know, pick relevant words or relevant phrases to that. And that may take some trial and error on that thing. So I think the sentiment analysis for these tools is rather challenging. If we go to the next one, well, I looked at Alterian, SM2 Techinergy, I can never figure out what to call them anymore because they keep on merging with another company. And the name gets longer and longer. Last I heard, they were going to be spun off again because Alterian figured out that Techinergy was more valuable than the rest of the companies, but I don't know if that's true or not. Just a rumor. They have a lot of different types of sentiment, including brand references, which is the one on the left, which is a yes, no, but it's more accurate around a brand name. And then they have another one that's kind of interesting that nobody else does, which is they try to take every piece of content they find and break it down into 16 different emotions, which I find actually is kind of fascinating. I don't know how good it is, but I actually figured out that if I could figure out what, quote, sophistication, unquote, was, if I could look at a site to find that as a bunch of parameters, and then I could kind of figure out, well, how many people are coming to my site to display sophisticated emotion. And this was really accurate, which I don't know if it is. I might actually have something. But I found that this report of Techinergy isn't exportable that way. And also, like, even when they have the data, they don't have the means to export it in a way that's usable. So kudos to them for doing something like that. I don't know what was in their head when they thought of this one. I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's different than what everybody else does. And it is like breaking down. And in this case, it was all about sociable, leisure, and energy, and leisure. I don't know what the hell. There's nothing you can do with this stuff, but it's interesting to look at. And then I work a lot with Sysomos, and I actually kind of like that platform a lot. They didn't really win me over at first because they weren't the first people to give me free access to their tool. And it took some time, and it keeps on turning off, you know, and then I get to turn them on again, and now I think we're going to buy it at Morgan Valley and use it as one of the tools, because actually I'm able to get work done quickly with this thing. And it isn't 100% accurate, because none of them are, but at least it makes a good attempt. And you know, they have segmentation capabilities that the other ones don't seem to have. Like you can take a couple of words out of a query and select those words and then do a top analysis on that. So you can kind of almost do something similar to a web analytics segmentation, where you can take a bunch of sites and say, these are my social media sites, or these are this type of site. You can take words and actually create segmentation out of it, which I don't see anybody else doing, but it probably could do. And that's interesting from someone that comes from a data analytics standpoint, because we're into segmentation. Because everybody who's into web analytics thinks first segmentation. How do I chop my audience into segments? And actually, you can take that query, figure out what you want to, and make it a sub-filter, and then you can do your sentiment analysis on that. And that I find very useful. I don't know that I use it that much, but, and here's a case of positive, negative tweets that they started doing, which I kind of liked. And when I read the actual tweets, they weren't that far off. I mean, the ones that were positive and the ones that were negative seemed to make sense to me. So, from that standpoint, I don't have a problem with them. Their interface isn't the best, but you know, I'd rather have an interface that I can work with than a piece of Flash stuff that I can't ever get anything out of, and it takes 5 times more to put work into. And then we have Crimson Hexagon. At Porter Novelli, we have a strategic partnership with Crimson Hexagon. And you know, they have an opinion mining monitor. So we talk about sentiment. And you know, typically the sentiment monitors that Crimson Hexagon does are fairly expensive. They're in like the $5,000 range. You know, generally someone will say something like a question like, what's the sentiment around shaving? Which is a very vague question, extremely vague, you know, or what's the sentiment about healthcare today, or what's the sentiment about Obama's speech, or what do people feel about wheelchairs? And generally